Ever notice how you could be doing everything right on paper and still feel totally lost inside? Today, we're talking about the inner game of success, the part of the no spreadsheet pitch deck or the KPI can fix. If you've ever been in a season of uncertainty and thought, do I have actually what it takes or am I faking it? This conversation is for you. Now, welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. If you love this conversation about mindset, growth, and building a life that actually feels aligned, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube and at Stacey Chillemi Advisor, and leave a 5-star review so we can keep bringing you incredible guests and stories. Now, today I am really excited because we're joined by Yin Yang, a global entrepreneur with a Swedish Chinese background, founder of the Inner Game Coach, and executive partner at Sincere Alignment Group, where he helps leaders and founders build what he calls the inner clarity in the middle of every noisy world. Now, Yini, I am so glad to have you on the show today. I'm very excited to have you here. For everyone listening, can you say hello and share in your own words what you do and who you feel most called to help right now?
All right. Thanks so much, for that introduction. And so glad to be here. So my name is Yining Wang. As Stacey alluded to, I'm a Swedish Chinese background. So born in China, but my parents grew up in Sweden, but now I live in Hong Kong. So quite international mindset. I've done quite a lot in my career before, started a company and all those entrepreneur journey. But right now, what I'm here is to, share all the lessons I've done. As you know, since I'm part of, you can say, the Western world, I grew up in with Western culture and society and business and so forth. But at the same time, I do have some Asian roots. So I'm trying to share with me a little bit of the Asian philosophy and also some of the mindsets and thinking that I have applied to really strengthen my inner core when it comes to facing challenges in life, especially doing a daunting task such as starting a company, IPO, and all those things. It's really about for sharing to you who are listening, who are facing a lot of uncertainty, facing a lot of challenges on the external world. When things blow on the external, how can you be very strong and steadfast in your internal world? That's a little bit of the key things that I hope to share with you, and also the practices to really build your inner core in terms of uncertainty and doubts.
I love it. Beautiful. So, for everyone listening, by the end of this episode, you're going to learn how to stay grounded when life and business is uncertain, a simple way to tell when you're acting from fear versus clarity. And your inner game directly impacts your money, leadership, and relationships, and daily practices that Yini uses himself to build trust, not just hustle, and how to make big decisions from faith and alignment, not panic. So I'm really excited to just jump right into this. Now, let's start with your story. You've lived between East and West, built companies, gone through IPOs, and now you focus on the inner side of success. Now, when did you first realize that strategy wasn't enough, that your inner game and faith in yourself had to change if you wanted to change your life?
Mm. I think, if I'm really frank and honest, I think reflecting on that particular journey with the company I started my company when I was 32 years old. I think back in the days, initially, I think I was a bit driven by the external, what can you say, circumstances and the perceptions of what success really meant. So, of course, as a young Asian in Europe, I wanted to stand out, want to achieve. My dad will achieve a lot of success in his career based on, where he started from China for a long, long time ago. So I always felt like I needed to prove myself a bit. I needed, if I grew up in Sweden, such a, great countries, very wealthy, European country with such a great platform, really need to prove myself. And prove myself is to achieve all these external accolades. But as I started that journey and more tried to understand what really drove me, what is my inner motivation, and how to face all these challenges in life, and still be very motivated every day to be, be very strict, very diligent without things. I found that the motivation for me to pursue external so-called validation was not enough as a
Right.
motivation factor. So it meant like I needed to dig in much deeper to really understand why am I doing this? Why am I suffering? Why am I working all these late nights? Why am I giving up so much of my time and effort, to really get this project done? Then it needs to be driven by purpose,
Right.
right? And I think for all entrepreneurs and everybody who, is really motivation driven, you can have this little bit push yourself to self-discipline. That's great. If you're in sports, you're in the military and things like that, that's great. But for you to sustain that at a high pace over a longer period of time, then you have to understand why you're doing it. So for
Exactly.
me, to go through all of that and to really understand a little bit more who I am and why I did the things I did, I had to dig deeper to understand the purpose and the meaning of the action and not just the action itself. And it was not just to chase external accolades. That was unfortunately not enough to really push myself to some limits within my entrepreneurial journey.
Wow. Now, you talk a lot about inner clarity for someone listening who's in the middle of noise, social
Mm.
media, money stress, pressure at work. How do you define inner clarity in a simple, practical terms?
I will say like this. I read a lot and I learn a lot and try to think a lot. So one quote that really stuck and resonated with me throughout this period is actually from Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher. And he said like very simple, a unexamined life is not worth living.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? It means a little bit, okay, on a daily basis, right? You have a couple of things that you're focusing on, your health, your relationships, and your career. I mean, if you put it into big buckets, it's mostly these things. But have you audited the alignment of these things? Are they
Mm.
aligned? How's your health? How's your diet? How's your exercise? How's your faith? Right. Mental health is extremely important. That's probably the most important thing right now. We're talking about is your relationship taking too much time? Do you have kids? If you have kids, your relationship maybe is taking over so much of your life that you don't have time enough for a career, or vice versa. Some people are very much career focused, too much career, very little relationship. What's the meaning of that? So it
Mm.
means a little bit that inner clarity really means to have that awareness to audit yourself,
Mhm.
examine yourself. Now, level one, you might audit yourself a little bit from the external part.
Right.
Balance, health, sleep, career, wealth, and those kind of things to have a balanced external world. But when you go deeper, then you start also audit your inner game. That means what are actually your uncertainties?
Hmm.
What are actually your fears? What are actually your doubts? And ask yourself, why do I have these doubts?
Right.
Auditing that and also audit your core values. What gives you courage? What gives you motivation? Why? What gives you the urge and propensity to make compromises in life? And what is it that gives you that confidence to be, for example, on this show and attract a lot of people? What is that? How
Right.
can you double down on those factors that's very positive for you and remove these negative subconscious egos that creates these limiting beliefs? That's the second part of examine yourself. So first of all is examine the external world, just to audit, make sure it's balanced, but then at a deeper level, audit your inner game, because after that you get that inner clarity.
Now, how should it feel when you get that inner clarity? How does it feel inside? How do you know when you're balanced, when your life is in a place you're mentally, physically, and spiritually at a point where everything is balanced and you feel at whole with yourself?
Mm. And I will say this is the thing. I think we try to do a lot of things to make sure our external life is balanced, right?
Yeah.
a lot of different kind of things. Okay, if I get this, I get this, get job promotion, I IPO, I exit, whatever, all these things. So we try to chase a lot of external factors to get that ultimate fulfillment. But if you take one step back, when you succeed,
Hmm.
when you achieve something, when you get that relationship, when all these external validation you get, what is the end result?
Right.
From a physical point of view, okay, you can get some physical things, but from an internal state, it's still a feeling.
Yes.
It's a feeling, right?
Hmm.
And therefore, if it's a feeling, then it's still about, achieving and fulfilling one part of you that was not fulfilled by
Right.
achieving a big external milestone. Now, there's two ways to do that. One way is to chase the external world. Another way is to be fulfilled through auditing and thinking about your internal game so you can fill that hole already before you
Right.
chase. So that's like a life hack if you call it that way.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
way to really feel that is to first of all audit yourself, right? Audit yourself and think a little bit about, okay, what is it that is my ideal life from a
Yeah.
thinking point of view?
Hmm.
What is a life that gives me peace?
Right.
What is a what is a healthy relationship? What is an unhealthy relationship? What is a career that I find that I both have meaning, purpose, and I can derive the enough monetary substance to ensure I have a good life?
Right.
And
I
that's
like.
why inner clarity is so important because then when you have inner clarity, then you make your choices. Okay, this relationship is no good for me. It's a toxic relationship. I need to get out of that relationship. Or these friends or whatever you call it, so-called friends, are actually, just people I hang out, I spend time with when I have lack.
Yeah.
This career that I'm doing, I'm only doing it because it pays my bills, or because somebody told me I need to do that, or because this is a circumstance, but it's
Yeah.
actually not what. And it's usually when you feel misaligned, that is all usually when the conflicts comes in and you're doing something but you're thinking about something else. That's the misalignment. So the inner clarity really means to clear yourself first so you know what is it you want, what is it that's good for you, who you are, and why you feel a certain way. Audit that. When you have inner clarity, then you start to build your life.
I
And then
love.
you can actually shift it because it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling, right? So you can actually feel the outcome before you actually start. And then you already know this is right, this is not right. And the more you get in touch with that inner clarity, the more inner clarity you have, the more right you will feel for every decision you make.
Hmm. So true. So true. Now, I love this idea that we're constantly choosing between faith and fear. And even if we don't call it that, we can walk us through what it looks like when someone is secretly running on fear and what it looks like when they're leading from faith to alignment instead.
Mm. Exactly. And I think one of the, most important thing that I think we also need to be a bit aware. We talk about awareness, right? Our bad habits, our good habits, the way we talk, our manners, and those things, we need to be more aware. But one thing that we also should be aware is not just the thought that we come in, it's
Yeah.
also to be more aware of our uncertainties and become more aware of our doubts. And sometimes it's important to doubt your own doubt.
Yes.
Because it's not, some of the things that we feel, okay, this I should do, or this is not actually that rational. It's just impulsive. Even your doubts is like that. Even your uncertainty is like that. Even your fear, especially fear, it is a reptile, reaction.
Yeah.
It's not really a conscious, objective analysis.
How
So
do you
yeah.
How do you know when you're in a, I'm sorry. How do you know when you're actually running on fear?
Of course, I mean, I mean, I still have it. I don't say that I still have it. I still need to think about next year, need to think about, all the things that we all need to think about in terms of business, your supplier, your customers, your P&Ls and those kind of things. So you still have a number of areas of uncertainty, but there's two ways to this. Number one, when you're fear, you know it is from fear, right? So I don't think I need to tell you, but everybody knows this is driven by fear. It's because of either you want control and you don't have control,
Hmm.
or it is just because you don't really trust in your own capabilities, or it is because somebody else told you something.
Right.
Right, right, that you cannot make it. But it does not mean that he is right. I mean, I work with some of the most sophisticated investors and business people. Nobody can foresee the future because everything's a choice between, you billions of people. So how can you really project the future if everything is a choice, right,
Right.
tomorrow? So you cannot project the future. So therefore, no matter who or what he says to you, it could have some meaningful content, but if you take it on face value, you don't really think about that. You're simplifying that a little bit as well. So I think everybody knows and understands where, when you are in fear. But the most important thing is to have that awareness to be peaceful and to understand that is an impulsive feeling that I need to just understand what it is and then let me break it down for myself.
Hmm.
If I have doubt, what is it I'm doubting? Hmm.
Right.
How many customers will I get next year? 15, 30. All right, I need 30 because of certain cash flow. La la la. Okay, that's rational. But then, okay, what is it that you need to do to
Right.
get 30 or 15? Well, maybe you need to expand your social media network. Maybe you need to expand, your automation. Maybe you need to learn AI. When you improve and understand where it comes from and you think about that a little bit more in detail, maybe you shouldn't be that fearful around getting 15 customers or 30 customers because it's about small adjustments you need to do in your workflow or skill sets that you need to
Mhm.
improve.
Right. That's
Yeah.
so
So
true.
yeah, yeah. So it is a little bit of having a higher sense of awareness, having a higher sense of steadiness, or have a higher sense of centeredness when dealing with these kind of, variations and um, because the more you try to control, the more you will not be able to control. And also, if you think about this a little bit, uh, every day there are so many possibilities. If you try to make a plan that's too fixed, you are predetermining an outcome. But
Right.
there could be many ways to roam. So why would you predetermine something when you actually don't when you have more possibilities and factors could change tomorrow based on policies, weather, climate or technologies, things can change. So why would you predetermine for yourself an outcome that you think this is the only way? Unfortunately, I'm not the universe, right? I can't predict that, so I need to be humble for that. So in that case, why would you predetermine something in advance when you cannot really do that? You have to let go.
Yes. So many people do that. So many people, they worry about the future when they don't know what the future has in store, but yet they focus so much on it that they stress themselves to the limit. And
Mm,
you never know what the future has in store. Anything can happen, anything can change at any given moment. We can't predetermine the future. We can only
mm,
focus on the present. But yet,
mm,
so many people worry about the future when we have no control of it.
mm. And that is a little bit of an inner practice where we go back to inner clarity.
Hmm.
And when we do that particular work of trying to understand and building our inner strengths, our inner capabilities to take on different challenges, it is a little bit of a concept. I think now also in the West, but it is really about detachment. Detachment. And what does detachment mean? Don't be attached by the things you own, right? Don't let those things own you. That's very fundamental, I think. But also don't be attached to your identity.
Mm-hmm.
The social mass, okay, Yining Wang, you know, business leader, whatever, CEO, whatever, that for me is absolutely, I don't care. Maybe I cared more about that back in the days, but absolutely don't care about that. But that is our identity that we are so fixated. Okay, where are you from? Okay, I'm from USA, I'm from Europe, I'm from Hong Kong, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. That is a identity that you attach. Whenever you have attachment to something, that's when that drives that control need. And the
Mm-hmm.
easy way to remove that control need that actually keeps you a little bit stuck and not seeing all the possibilities is to remove that attachment. And that's so easy.
Yes.
One hour you sit with yourself, 1 hour you sit with yourself, you go through it, think about it, remove those attachments, then you're free. Whenever you're attached to something, you will be stuck. And it's everything. Like I'm telling you, everything is attachments to a relationship, whatever types of relationship, even to your kids. I have kids too, right? And house and car and wealth, bank account, all of that is attachment. You came to this life with nothing. You will go away from this life without anything. Anyways,
Mhm.
don't have that attachment. Try to remove that attachment and just feel, non-attached. Doesn't mean you don't love. You can
Right.
love unconditionally. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
different layer of love. That's a love without, reciprocity, without a condition to give back, get anything back. That's how you love your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 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 but loving unconditionally also means you are detached from them. Like you want what's best for them. It's okay for your kids to study abroad or get married, all that stuff. It's great for them. That's what you want. But then it also removes the time that you have with the kid. Right.
Right.
So being detach yourself from all these things. And most importantly, detach yourself from your identity. That will remove that control and that fear from your
Yeah.
internal state.
That's so true. And well, a lot of listeners are in transition, a new business, career changes,
Mhm.
health challenges, relationship shifts.
Mhm.
When everything feels uncertain, what is the first
Mhm.
inner question you ask yourself or your clients so they can stop
Mhm.
spiraling and reconnect with something solid inside?
Mhm. I understand. And that is, actually, to be honest, it goes back to that uh, control need and need for, I will say, perceived clarity, not
Yeah,
real, but perceived clarity. You want to know when you're gonna get a new client, when you're gonna get that cash flow, when you're gonna get this relationship, if this relationship is gonna work out or not. You want all those answers before you've actually done the process, which
right.
is which is not gonna happen, right? Like we all know
Yeah,
that, right? You
yeah.
have to walk the talk, go through the process before you can actually arrive at that end goal. Now,
Yes,
this is the thing, which is super important, super important. How do we know we're on the right path? For example, how do we know we're on the right path? Right?
right,
How do we know, okay, this job is doing it a good way, this relationship is moving in the right direction, my move to a new city, it feels good. This is actually the right decision for me, right? I changed my career. I start a new life or I study something new, right? It is right. It is, initially you have to feel it. Yeah, there's no rational. I mean, starting a company is probably the most irrational thing you can do. 98% of all companies does not survive 2 years.
right.
98% globally. So starting a company is absolutely the most irrational thing to do, but still did it, right? Still took it public. Still all other things uh, is because I know that we're on the right path. And how do you know? You know when you know. So what is
Right.
important thing is not to okay, is this relation right? Am I investing enough? All those rational thinking, you
Yeah,
need to actually reduce that very, very rational thinking because your rational thinking is not going to be as powerful as AI's rational thinking, anyways, in these days. Right?
mm-hmm.
So you have to trust your gut, trust yourself, and also have certainty inside of you that no matter if this goes well or not, it's still gonna be good. I mean, think about all the relationships you've had. There's always something good that has happened on the other side. Could be a very rocky relationship, could be a very toxic relationship, could be anything. But after that is done, whenever that is, or if you that becomes a very fruitful and long-term relationship, you still learn something from that.
Yeah.
And it's also with job and career choices. Although maybe this wasn't really the project that really took off in the way you expected, there's always something you will learn from that.
Right.
So everything is good.
Hmm.
Every experience, no matter if it's a good experience, bad experience, is still a good experience. And we're here to experience. So have certainty in what you do. Because if you don't have certainty about things you do, you don't have the confidence. You
Right.
think too. And the problem here today is you overthink things and you don't listen to your superpower. Your
Right.
superpower knows.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important for us to create space for ourselves, create mindset, listen, read to
Hmm.
to podcasts such as these, read books that will break down, this kind of barrier you have that is
Yeah.
very, very temporary, very, very temporary. The great thinkers in this world, the great thinkers of this world are
Yeah.
never bound by this world.
So true. So true. Now, if you have this really unique Swedish Chinese background and you've led teams and companies across Europe and Asia, how has that shaped the way you think about success, faith, and
Mm.
alignment?
I think, first of all, being a little bit more of like this international background, I grew up in one place, parents from another place, and now I moved to a third place. First of all, that has really helped me is to not be fixated from one point of view.
Right.
Right. I mean, like if we talk Swedish, we have Swedish rules. We have something called lagom in Swedish, which is a word that doesn't exist in any other kind of countries because it's about like being right, being a little bit humble. This is good enough. While in the
Yeah.
US, it's a total different type of culture, right? And Asia and things like that. So it's easy for us to be a bit fixated from one common truth, one point of view, one viewpoint, one
Right.
philosophy. Right. We think this is the only way. But being a little bit more international is like, okay, I think, the Swedish philosophy and system is quite good. But unfortunately, the tax is just too high, man. It's just like, look at that, 67% marginal tax. How do I live in that country? Number two, the weather is not so good because it's too cold, right? Why live in a place that's cold when you can live in a place that's warm? And yeah, the Swedish food is great, but Asian food is better. I mean, like, not like it's up to preference, of course, but it's just a variety of things. But that is a little bit difficult for us to be, and vice versa in Asia as well. It's too hot here, all those things.
Yeah.
The food, so it's very easy for us to be a little bit too fixated in one mindset if we only come from that culture or that everybody, shares the exact same values. So
Right.
therefore, for me, being a bit more international, I can see, okay, this is a Swedish perspective. This is an Asian perspective. This is a US perspective. Okay, what is really best? Then I try to lift myself and think
Yeah.
individually.
Hmm.
Then it becomes more clear. All right, there are parts of the Swedish society which is really good. Parts of the Asian society and values is really good. But here are the lacks, if you think
Right.
it really objectively. So what it means is just it's really important for us if you're in business, if you're, any situation you are, to not just be very fixated in one
Right.
belief system. Challenge your belief systems. Challenge what you call normal. Why do you call it normal? There's a saying in Chinese, and this is very good as a wisdom. You know, it's difficult to talk to a frog who has and a frog. It's very difficult to convey a message and discuss with a frog who lives in a well who have never seen the ocean.
Right.
So don't understand that there's an ocean and we can might be seeing only one part of that water which is in the well. So understand that, that there is much, much bigger. Be
Yeah.
open-minded. And when
Mm.
you're open-minded, read and understand, listen, then form your own belief system. audits existing programming, audit all that stuff. None of that is really that right, to be honest, or real, to be honest. Audit that. Create your own belief system. Don't just listen or hear what other people say and
Yeah,
think.
that's
Then,
so.
yeah,
Now
then
let's
you
talk.
can really, yeah, 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 you go.
What were you saying? Then you can really what?
Then you can really understand and be a true leader that is very unique or original to yourself, right?
Hmm.
Because it comes from internal, because you really thought through, and people will respect you for that because you dare to say the things that people don't say, and you're true, and everybody knows when it's true, it's true. The
Yeah,
truth is truth.
that's true.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about doubt. Like every entrepreneur and every leader hits his wall or her wall. Now, what if I'm wrong? What if I fail? When you're a personality in a season of doubt, what do you actually do? Can you walk us through a moment of doubt in your own journey and how you moved through it?
Of course, I think the we all have doubts. For example, we write a proposal, we hear a client, we write a proposal, we make a pitch.
Yeah,
But will the client actually accept the pitch or that you proposal or not? It's not within your control. And
right.
then that's when you have a little bit doubt. It's like, okay, this is a really important client. If I get this client, I can sell this to other clients. It's a great marketing brand name, everything like that. Or this investor, wow, if I can get this investor on board, then these investors gonna come, boom, 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 boom. It's gonna be like, everything's gonna flow. So then you become doubtful when that investor does not respond, or you become doubtful when that client doesn't respond.
Yeah,
Right. And then you really think a little bit about yourself. Okay, then I think as well, like, did I do something wrong? Did I write the wrong wording? Was I impolite? Was it somewhere around the lines that, maybe my presentation has some spell checks wrong or some numbers I doubt? You start to think about all these things.
right.
But the most important thing is number one, you take a step back.
Hmm.
Right. Is this proposal to that investor really that important?
Right.
Really, is it really? Is there only one investor in this world?
No.
I mean, here in Hong Kong, we have 10,000 family offices, ultra high net worths, right?
Wow.
We're talking about over 30 million US dollar net worth, because Asia is big. So one
Yeah.
investor out of 10,000 investor or plus, is that really like that big of a deal? This
Yeah.
client, all right, you have one client, you need this client's approval. All right,
Yeah.
say it's a really big blue chip companies. How many blue chip companies are there in this world? How many stock exchanges are there in this world?
Right. It's
And
none.
even your business, all right, this business is great. You have this idea and then allow you invested some money into that. Is this really the only business that you can be successful in life? How many
Right.
business? How many business model? How many industries are there? How many geographics are there in this world?
Right.
So when you start to think a little bit bigger, a little bit broader outside of that very, very niche and very small, task or client or intake, then you start
Hmm.
to think of it, yeah, I have limited my thinking by thinking that this is the most important thing. And this is the only investor, only client. You hear the voice inside of yourself. That's scarcity mindset. Don't have
Hmm.
that. Don't have that. And just understand, whatever business you're doing today, go big and go global. There's tons of clients, there's tons of people. As long as you do something that is truly good, like
Yeah.
with a good intention, and the value provided to your clients is above your cost, and
Hmm.
you're serving people, not taking, you will always succeed. You will,
Yes.
you will always succeed. Right.
That's so
And
true.
that's yeah. And don't be too short term. Like, don't be short term. It's absolutely not interesting, nor something that you will value either. Because, as I mentioned a bit earlier, very few companies can stand the test of time. Very few family office, no matter how good they are, can survive three generations. Just look at history.
Yeah.
So,
That's
and
good.
and what is it that you need to be a millionaire before 30 years old? Why is it that you need to get married before you're 30 years? Why?
Right.
It's not that important.
Hmm.
It's not important. Think more about how can you serve this world, not only
Yes.
in this lifetime, but over a long period of time.
Right. Very
Then
true.
you will think that the delta you have today or whatever that is so small. It's so small. And the best investment you can do, no matter what, is always to invest in yourself.
Yes. 100%. Yes. That's very true. The best thing you could do is make your own the best investment you can make is to invest in yourself. And a lot of people are always focusing on others, and the last person they focus on is themselves.
Exactly. So, and that is, I will say it's difficult. And I was in that situation before as well. Family, workers, the company, investors, shareholders, all that stuff, suppliers, everything like that. So giving too much to other people, not taking care of yourself enough. But then it's just like, it's a sandcastle, right? Right. Because at the end of the day, if you don't continue to build resilience, mindset, your health, your body, who is going to bear all of that stuff?
Yes.
It's not gonna hold, right? You're gonna get burned out. So why get burned out when you can reduce that load a little bit or improve your capacity? And also, why is it even that low? Why should I just go around and carry a lot of burdens? Why is that? Right.
Right.
Right. I just there's no, and so therefore I think it is this, a little bit of solitude. I think everybody needs a bit of solitude too.
Yeah.
Examine yourself, examine your external world, examine your internal world, and really spend that time for yourself because that's probably the highest ROI. It costs you nothing to
Yeah.
spend some time with yourself. Go do some reflective thinking, review some practice I've shared to in other forums and podcasts. I have some routines. For example, every Sunday, I would review what happened last week.
Hmm.
Everything. What happened on Monday? What happened Tuesday? What happened on Wednesday? What happened Thursday? What happened Friday? Who did I met? How was my schedule? How was this? Bam, 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 bam. All these, review that and think what could I have done better?
Yep.
What are the things that happened last week that challenged me? How
Hmm.
did I react to those situations?
Right.
Right? How did I do my planning? How was my balance in terms of my external role, internal role during that particular week? What are some of the boundaries that maybe I let loose a bit too much in
Hmm.
certain situations? And which are the things I need to think about, become more aware of for next week?
Right. Very.
Weekly reflection, just 1 week reflect, and then think ahead. Okay, based on the learnings I learned last week, what is the new things I can apply for next week? Which podcast I'm gonna listen to next week? Which episode, which books was recommended on this podcast or other, platforms that I got inspired to? Okay, this is a very important piece of information. I'll put that into my playlist when I go to the gym next time.
Right.
Then you have both reflective and also a, you know, not I would say not predetermined, but at least
Hmm.
some forecast or like some proactive thinking
Yeah.
around something that you need to improve and some things that you need to let go of for next week. That's a very, very high ROI for anybody listening, right? Because all you need is your own time, a piece of paper, and a pen.
Yes.
You don't even need electricity. Like that's how high this ROI is.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, because sometimes we pay attention to how we're behaving and the good habits and the bad habits that we're exemplifying. We can really, make a lot of positive changes in our lives. Sometimes we don't even realize some of the bad habits that we're carrying over, on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And if we stop to think, hey, I'm not putting enough of time, for myself. I should be taking more walks. I should be exercising a little bit more. I should be
Mm,
taking, more breaks. I
mm,
should be doing this. I should be doing that. And then if you write it down and you really analyze how you behaved, the following week and what you could do better and then reward yourself for the things that you did good, it could
mm.
really strengthen you in all areas of life.
Exactly. And that's back a little bit to investing in yourself. That
Hmm.
is the best way to invest in yourself because you create that self-awareness. You start
Yeah.
listening to an inner voice that wants to talk to you all the time about all the things, who knows everything.
Yeah.
That's how you start to, strengthen the inner works of your castle.
Hmm.
Build structures on that, build
Yeah.
foundations on that, right? To strengthen, balance it with weight. So here's a little bit overweight. Let's reduce a little bit here. Let's put some more weights here. Let's add a little bit more, concrete over here. Some fixed, structures here to strengthen this part so that
Yeah.
we can kind of flow.
100%. Now, I want to make this super
Mm,
practical. So, if someone was listening and is
mm,
about to make a big decision, hire,
mm,
fire, invest, move, pivot, what a simple inner check-in or framework you would give them so they can tell this is aligned versus this is fear or ego talking.
mm. So for me, when it comes to this, and for me more or less, before I take any decision, more or less, is to always ensure you're in a very r- relaxed, high energy, well energized, and very centered state.
Yes.
And what I mean with that is that before you need to make a big decision or any decision so any decision that is big, just make sure that you get out like if you don't have all these practices I share with you, at least do like this. Go do some exercise, go to the nature, go get a sweat, get a clean shower,
Hmm.
and be well rested. So you remove a lot of, you can say, an anxiety that it will could affect your decision making.
Right.
Any things garbage from last week, any noise or stressor that could affect your decision making. Because if you have a big decision, you want your decision making to be as accurate as best as possible. So make sure that you remove all this noise and toxins that you have either in your physical body or in your mental state, right? So do some exercise. If you don't do any of the other things, just at least do some exercise, break a sweat, get a shower, be very clear and have a tea or something like that. Not too much, just make sure you're very in a good state, right?
Right.
When you're in a good state, right, then start to draw up, you know, what has led you to be in this situation to take this decision. The,
Right.
it's like a puzzle. Before you do the puzzle, you do the corners, right? You do the corners.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
and then when
Very
you do
true.
the corners, then you see all the pieces come in place. All right, here's option A, here's option B. The reason I have option A is because of this particular corner, because I have these options. I have this company, I have this investor, and then here is another one, and this is the reason why I have this option, right? Then it becomes very clear, okay, where you are in your own inner compass, in your own puzzle. You can see the picture.
Right.
Then all you need to do is play chess.
Yeah. Exactly. I always love getting behind the scenes. On a normal day, what are the non-negotiable habits that you personally use to stay aligned mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And what does that look like in real life, not on Instagram version?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so important. It's important. Of course, we cannot be perfect. There are days you travel, there are days you get a bad sleep and those kind of things. So I think we're all human, so there's always need to be a little bit consideration. But what I do, more or less, that is part of my daily routine, is that I always exercise in the morning every day. Right?
Mhm.
Sometimes could be, in a hotel, then I just go to the treadmill. Right.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if I'm in Hong Kong, I will take a morning run. Today, for example, I did a morning hike.
Hmm.
Spent 1.5 hour outdoors climbing mountains before I went to work. But that's a decision, right? I choose to come to work when I choose I come to work. I work, we are recording this 2 a.m. in Hong Kong. Why? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's a choice. So these are
Yeah.
all like things you can do. So what I do is I always one of my non-negotiables is always to do morning exercise. And the reason for morning exercise is to number one, remove some of that toxic that you went to sleep with because you thought probably about some things that happened that your body, your mind and consciousness, your body couldn't really fully process. Right. Or things that you dreamt about, things that could happen during your sleep, that you
Yeah.
need a little bit extra time to process. So use that morning exercise to clear your mind
Right.
and also to increase your energy level to not just be, a low heartbeat, but you increase that. And then
Yes.
afterwards, always take a shower because that's like almost a meditative state for you. And
Yeah.
then what I would do is I would always meditate, like always meditate 15 to 30 minutes sometimes, in the morning after my morning exercise, because that is what draws me back to centeredness. So the morning exercise and shower is a really good way. It pushes you a little bit towards
Yeah.
centeredness. And if
Hmm.
you're not into meditation, that could be enough for you. That's fine. But if you really do add that, meditation afterwards, it is
Right.
really like you clean your body from one part from the exercise and things like that. That meditation will clean you extra from a lot of these inner things, right?
Right.
And it will also help you to become very centered
Yeah.
and understanding, your alignment, your purpose, your core values, and all those things, and be
Hmm.
grateful for a lot of things that maybe we take for granted.
Yeah.
Remove these attachments, give forgiveness, gratefulness, all these things.
Right.
And then after that, 15, 30-minute meditation, that's when I start my day.
Right.
And that is more or less like that's a routine that unless something really things will happen and could adjust a little bit, exercise a little bit shorter or meditation a little bit shorter, depending on the day's schedule, but that's usually a return. I almost never, you know nobody's perfect,
No.
but
It's
still it's still really like it's really part of my routine, like that I always do. And another little bit thing that I would do during the day, of course, because you get that very good energy, you make great decisions throughout the day, but there could be things during the day that happens, all right? You get an email, somebody texts you, the text is late, traffic jam, all these things. Whenever those kind of things, uncontrolled things happen, or somebody, is angry at you, or and those kind of stuff, it's easy for us to react and become very, well, stressed and those kind of things every time, not every time, I'm good at catching myself, but I try to catch myself as much as possible in those situations when I feel like I'm getting out of my balance. Then I will
right.
try to spend some time to rebalance myself
I like that.
throughout the day as well, throughout the day as well. And that could take 3 minutes or 2 minutes and
Right.
just take a breather, listen to a podcast, think about something, listen to some classic music or something like that, take a walk just to
Right.
center yourself and then go back again because then it recreates that similar feeling as you were in the beginning of the day despite something happening. And
Yeah.
most of the time, as we know, our instinct reactive behavior is always not the best thing to do, no matter what situation it is.
Very true. Very true. Now, let's speak directly to the
Mm,
person listening who feels completely off track, maybe
mm,
burnt out, maybe successful on paper, but empty inside. If they're sitting across from you right now, what
mm.
would you say to them first?
I think for somebody like, you know, and also for that particular person to have some questions. Why have you become burnt out? Right? Because when I talk about the inner game and inner clarity, it is inner clarity, and the only one person who can get that inner clarity is yourself.
Yes.
And it's a little bit like, okay, how do we heal? How do we, transform and get better? It
Yeah.
is a little bit understanding which are parts of this onion that we have built, that we have tolerated these boundaries, these people, these, over tree passing of our boundaries, these, things that we have accepted
Mm-hmm.
and things we've done, things that we've chased, these are accolades and these kind of things that we chase without us really understanding what we're chasing. Because if you know what you're chasing, when you're successful, you will feel good. You won't come and sit down and have this discussion, right? So there are going to be elements within yourself that you have allowed yourself, or you have become a little bit trapped
Right.
in this world that you have tried to build, in which there are layers of that onion that we
Yeah.
need to peel. And understand one thing, one very important thing. If you really feel burned out, you're lost direction. Number one, is all in your head. It's
Mhm.
all in your head. It's not truth, right? Right.
Right.
There are studies that say that we only comprehend a very small percentage of what we think is true, right? And science is about debating what is truth. And the best scientists in this world will say the limits of their theory, which means, is not 100% comprehensive,
Right.
right? So you cannot, so your thought that you think is true is rational. This is the reason for why I'm here. This is the reason I got abandoned, or this is the reason I'm burned out. This is because of la 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 la, right?
Mhm.
Most of that is in your head. Is
Right.
there's a logical referencing around that? There's a logical reference around that. Is there a logical sequence from your perspective? But it does not mean that's the only way, and this is the only way out, and this is no doors. So it's back to this one investor. There's not one investor, not one way to live life, right? So really, if you're in that situation, whatever you are thinking right now, audit that thought because that's most likely not true, like, or it's not true, right?
Mhm.
So,
I like.
so yeah, it's all in your head. Like it's most of it's can I make it? Can I make it? Can I become like this or can I be like this? Do I? It's just beliefs. It's 100% beliefs. 100 beliefs. If you believe you can, if you think this is then you think it. You predetermine an outcome before it happens. That's what you can do with your belief.
It's very true.
Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. You can
Right.
be absolutely great. You can be great. If you think you're great, you will become great.
100%.
Right.
Very true.
So, so if you're in that particular situation, number one, it's all in your head. Number two, try to understand why you're here. And you
Mm.
don't need to meet me. You don't need to, going to just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. It's so powerful. And then you
Right.
will say, okay, maybe, all right, this and this. I mean, what if I change some of these existing belief systems, change some of
Right.
my concept that way. And it's not about, okay, where you are now, it's more about where you want to be, right? Where you
Right.
want to be. If you want to be great, maybe there are some limited beliefs or things that happen you're holding on to that is limiting you to become that higher potential, higher version of yourself. Those things, let that go. Let it go.
Right.
Build a character, imagine, visualize a hero that you really resonate with, become that person, let go of your old self, and just switch.
I like that. Now, before we wrap it up, I'd love to boil this down. Now, if you had five things someone can start doing this week to strengthen their inner game and live
Mm.
life with more faith and alignment, what would those five things be?
All right. I would really try to put it into a very practical structure because I think it is really important because we are very busy all the time and there's a lot of things going on for us. So I
Right.
want to make it as easy as possible for people and as practical as possible for people. So back to some of the routines that have worked really well for me. You can try it out, but some of the routines is number one uh, the weekly reflection, right? That's just like so easy
Yeah.
to implement for yourself, the weekly reflection. And then number two, if you are doing gym or any type of exercise, instead of trying to do it in the afternoon, try to see if you can do it in the morning. I mean, the same time anyways, right? It's 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 1 hour, whatever it is. If you do it
Right.
at 8 o'clock, and then you do until 9, then you have all that energy and then you go to bed. What's the purpose of that? Why don't you
Right.
just switch a little bit? You go to bed a little bit earlier and get up a bit earlier, squeeze that in the morning before you go to work. Then, based on that particular morning exercise, you have that energy, that clarity that cleanses you. You will
Yeah.
see immediate effects of
Right.
that very simple hack, right? Right,
Yes. Hmm.
right, right. And then if you can try some meditation, like that is really a recommend. You can do some guided meditation and things like that. Squeeze that in 5, 10 minutes, after that exercise if you can, because that really helps you a little bit to connect to your inner self, to that voice that knows already what you need to know.
Right.
But it's like charging, right? It's like charging your phone. If you never
Yeah.
charge it, you will be low in battery. And
Right.
of course, you can do a lot of other things to try to charge it, but it's not as effective. It's really
Yes.
not as effective. So do a little bit of that. And then I would really urge people to expand their belief systems. And what that means as a number 4 is to listen to other ideas, philosophies, and discover other lines of thought.
Hmm.
Right. And that could go, if you're more scientific, go into science and think about, okay, what is reality? What is quantum? What is metaverse? Like what is, what we could say that this could be a gigantic bubble, right? That there's a multiverse, right? Go into that and question a little bit of existing beliefs from that point of view. If you're more into philosophy, all right, maybe religion or spirituality and those kind of things, maybe try to understand a little bit different line of thoughts, right?
Right.
Indian is
Right.
one, Asian is another one, Buddhism another one, right? To really expand and push the limits. And if you're into arts, like if you're into arts, every artist, every piece of art is a self-expression. And most
Mhm.
of these arts that you see today is usually a critique
Yeah.
about things that we take for granted, we think is mainstream, right?
Right.
you know so go and expand your thinking as number 4. And number 5 is just to continuously try to have that awareness and that connectedness.
Yes.
If you're in a bad situation, you're reactive, try to not be reactive.
Right.
Just that 10 second 1 minute breather, something that happens. So wrap it up. 5 things. Number 1, weekly reflection. Number 2, exercise, meditation, expand thinking through podcasts, listening, reading, to get new perspective, push the existing belief systems. And number 5, uh, take a step back, raise your awareness before you are reactive. Right? That will make a big difference actually. Or I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
I love this. Oh my God, this is amazing. You've done an amazing job today sharing your knowledge, and all the topics we hit on today were things that we go through on a daily basis and things that could hold us back in life if we don't look at it from a different perspective and practice different ways of incorporating different strategies and tools into our lifestyle. And all the questions we had today are things that we battle on a daily basis, mentally
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing all this knowledge with us. I really do.
Yeah, no, of course, and that's my purpose to share these things I've accumulated over these years because I think right now what is so important is that, of course, we live in this 3D world. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of experience we want to experience. The world is so big. So we need to make sure we're practical, right? We're
Yeah.
practical. But at the same time, we're practical. How can we ensure we have an inner balance? So really think about, the inner clarity on one side, on the left circle, if you visualize that. And then on the right side is, entrepreneurship, business, family, 3D worlds, and find that merge and find that balance. I call
Yes.
it external world and internal world. Have that
Hmm.
balance and alignment between those two. It's the same thing. What is often overlooked is that we only focus on the external. We don't focus on the internal. If our
Yeah.
inner game is weak, our outer game is weak too.
Hmm.
And if your inner game is strong, your outer game is going to, really good. It goes hand in hand. So have a
Yeah.
balance. So back to it. The the quote from Socrates, a life unexamined is not worth living. Take that home.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you, Yini. This has been wonderful. I thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you'll come back and we can talk more in depth about a lot of other topics in this circle and really put some emphasis on a lot of these topics because I think a lot of people can really benefit from your knowledge.
Mm. Yeah, and experiences, right? So it's lived experiences always, make you know a little bit more about all these things. So, everybody
Oh,
has their
100.
ups and downs as well. So I'm just glad to have this opportunity to share, and I hope some of the message can help anybody, on a practical level and try to, like I just want everybody unlocks their potentials because, we are so trapped and we are so much bigger than what we think we are. So don't play
Yes,
small, play it big, right? That's the way it is.
100%. And I know you do a lot of this out of passion and love, because you really have a passion to help others. But are
Mm.
there any types of services or anything that you do to provide for others?
Well, I think right now, of course, I have, I share a lot of this on my podcast and also on my Instagram. So it's Yining underline Swede, SWEDE. So IG, YINING underline SWEDE. That's where you can follow some of my content. I share some of this wisdom on a regular basis. Other than that, I do have a business which is a bit more B2B focused. But in addition to this, I do have the inner game coach, which, in the time that I have and depending on the people that really resonates with this, I could help a little bit on a personal level. But other than that is really to share this knowledge as much as possible and for people who are interested, and especially I think for all the entrepreneurs and investors out there, it is so important for us to be real role models. It's so
Yes.
important for us to be real models. We cannot just be, whatever, like this traditional, way of role model being the leader of society, right? Use
Yes.
your capital wisely. Make it into building cities and dreams, and not just put it in a bank vault and has no value into that, right? Let's make capital serve more wiser. So if your investor resonates with that, make sure that your capital is purpose driven.
Right. And,
Because
and
if it's purpose driven, you will attract the right people to work for you.
oh, 100%, 100%. Now, where's the best place people can find you? Is it Instagram or is it going directly to your website?
It's Instagram is the best one. I think Instagram is the best one. So IG Yining underline Sweet. That's the best way to connect and keep in touch and see the things that I do and follow my journey ahead.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been wonderful, and I appreciate you and I appreciate all your wisdom that you shared today. And I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Great conversation. I appreciate
Yes.
it. Appreciate it.
See.